Hi there. This is not a moment I'm proud of. I'm eating a taco in bed, reading Wait But Why on my laptop, and I just spilled some sour cream. But anyway, I just had this realization that, well, it's about YouTube and it's about the number of people who've ever lived, and it's really important, but this is also probably going to be a video that I want to share with people, so I'm going to make this a little more like approachable and friendly and not embarrassing eating tacos in bed. So give me just a second. So this is another one of those videos that I started and then didn't finish. I'm going to try to make this rant a little bit quicker while I drive here. I'm recording this after the San Francisco video. I'm not sure in what order I will post them. But yeah, so the concept I was reading about there is the Wait But... If you go to the Wait But Why mailbag number 2 that was posted recently, it's fantastic, in which Tim Urban answers questions from readers. And Wait But Why readers are sort of like Tim Ferriss podcast listeners, some of the most thoughtful and motivated and inspired people in the world. So they ask really good questions, and Tim answers them really well. And Tim has a sense of perspective on the world that lets him answer questions from several steps back, so to speak. Several steps farther back than most people are ever able to get in their life. He has just this incredible sense of context about the world, and speaks from that sense of context very eloquently, or writes. But anyway, so the question he was asking in this particular, what inspired this video, was the question, how many people have ever lived, and how many of them are alive right now? The answers, simply and in number form, are about 100 billion and 7 billion, right? So about 10% of the people who've ever lived are alive right now. In just numbers, like 7% of the people who've ever been born are alive right now. However, for the majority of human history, like up until the last 100 years essentially, for 99% of human history, the average was that you wouldn't get over infancy in the majority. You wouldn't get past infancy. So fully 50% of people died at birth. And then many, many, many more of the 50% who made it through getting born would die off before they were fully functioning adults. So a smaller percentage of actual functioning adults existed than the 100 billion who were born, right? So if you adjust for that, then maybe 15% of all the fully functioning adult aware minds who've ever existed exist now. Then if you think about people who have made it farther, even farther in life, people who are older than that, when it comes to people who've made it to 50, probably 30% of all people who've ever been 50 are alive right now and are over 50. The really interesting thing you get down to is probably 80% of the people who've ever been 80 were 80 in the last 100 years, right? So the experience of being over 80 is super, 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 super incredibly rare, and has happened in the majority case in the last 100 years and will happen in our lifetimes. So the majority of people who've ever been over 80 are contemporaries with us right now, and that's fascinating to think about. Just because of the way life expectancy works, it has been very rare up until very recently to get that old. So that's fascinating to think about. Then a second dimension that just occurred to me as I'm making this video is that higher education has been extremely, extremely rare until very recently. And so probably in our lifetimes, you and me watching this as contemporaries, not people who are watching this later on, but we are on the very beginning edge of higher education really taking the world by storm. It's becoming realistic for many, many, many people to go to college. And thanks to technology, it will become realistic in our lifetimes for many, many people, the majority perhaps on the planet, to get a higher education. So if you think about it, while there are, the Shakespeares and the Einsteins and the Edisons of the world, the majority of creative intellectuals ever to exist so far will exist in our lifetimes. So the most interesting work humanity will have yet done will be done in our lifetimes. The most interesting art ever created, the most interesting writing, the most interesting companies, the most interesting ideas to ever be pursued will be pursued within our lifetimes by our peers and contemporaries. We're living with more well-educated, interesting, creative people on the planet right now than probably have existed ever in human history. Like the number of people who lived over 20, then were highly educated, has probably already been surpassed. Ever in history has probably already been surpassed just by our contemporaries. And that's not a number that exists anywhere that I know of, but that's fascinating to think about. And then the way this applies to online video is that online video gives you a platform where you get to talk as if you are literally in the car with another person, and they get to talk to you just as if you're having a conversation. And it's not important that it's not two ways. It is important, though, that you exist and you get to receive information from that person as if you're there with them, benefiting from, you know, the fact that, like, I can express with my hands. I shouldn't, because I need my hands on the steering wheel. And I can use facial expressions, and I can talk to you and use my tone of voice to communicate things that might not be communicated by text. So much like the printing press changed how humans communicate with each other, and the internet changed in some sense how humans communicate with each other, in many senses rather, how humans communicate with each other, the most important and meaningful change will come from online video. Because this allows me, talking to YouTube, to influence. So like, I'll be able to send this video to many important people, and in theory, like, I don't know if I'm intending to do that, though now I might, now that I think of it. And this train of thought will get shared as if I was in the room with those people, just because it's an online video. And so in that sense, online video is fundamentally changing the ways humans communicate. And because online video is now super, super, super easy, as evidenced by the fact that I'm making 1,000 of them this year, that one fundamental alone will change everything. Everything about how humans communicate, about how ideas are spread, and in many ways it already has. TED is great evidence of that. Viral video sensations are great evidence of that. The Numa guy, like, I don't think anybody expected him to be the harbinger, the harbinger, is that how you pronounce it, of, you know, this massive change in society. But really, like, some of the early viral videos are the most important indication that ideas and concepts that are more complex than can be expressed, or just more human, more fundamentally human than can be expressed with written language, can now spread virally around the world. That's a very important concept. So I'm getting really theoretical and kind of fluffy-duffy and airy, and I also need to see when I need to get off the interstate, so I'm gonna go. But you get the idea. It's important that, to take away from this video, that, like, the majority of important, interesting, creative people who will ever live, or who have ever lived, are alive right now, are your contemporaries, exist here on this planet with you, and you get the chance to talk to them and to send them online videos in a way that, like, even if you're not in the same place, you can share with them. That's phenomenally exciting in a way that almost nothing else is. So take that to heart and do something with it. I am, and I hope you do too. I hope this video inspires you. Thanks for listening to me. Sorry this was a bit of a long rant, but thanks for your attention and time. I hope that you get a chance to check out some of my other 1,000 videos. Very few of them are as meaningful as this, but all of them are interesting and fun, and it's a way for me to document my life. Like I said, I make 3 of these a day, and I post 3 of them a day. I keep a week buffer in there so that I can make mistakes. But yeah, that's what this project is about. It's about documenting my life and making a journal out of online video, because for the first time, that's a possibility. And I'm really excited about it. Thanks for being a participant. Make sure to click subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.